Yeah, still this morning on ITV right there, and we're still live right looking at the issue before the incoming administration. And joining us this morning to analyze this is an economist talking about Aliyu Aliya with us in the studio this morning. It's a pleasure to have you this morning, Mr. Aliyu.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Thank you. We just need to hit the ground running because there's no time to delay that.
Right.
Because we few days to the swearing in of the incoming president-elect right there. A lot of challenges are before them. But you will be an economist and looking at the economic situation of this country. Right. What do you think will be the major challenge we'll be facing when it comes to the economy?
All right, thank you so much. I do not envy the incoming administration.
Wow.
A whole lot of challenges, very, very humongous before them. First and foremost, when we say economy, what really puts food to all our tables? That is very, very key. So the first major problem that I will see against all indices of unemployment, inflation rate, and everything that are practically negative is the issue of fuel subsidy.
Yes.
Now, looking at fuel subsidy, it's a very big issue on the plate of the president and its economic advisors, because the thing is, he has also promised practically that he's going to remove subsidy. Now the present government have said no, we are shifting it down to him to adjust on it, which is a very big problem. Because if you look at issue of subsidy, when you are trading off for this year, we're going to be trading off about 6 trillion to solve the challenges of what? Of subsidy. So it's a big issue. And if you look at when Buhari became president, it was about 370 billion, now up to 6 trillion in a year. So now I don't think this incoming president can bear the issue of not doing it. Now, what is the challenge of doing it or not doing it? These are the major problems. Should he go ahead? Should he not go ahead? That's that. Now, issue of unemployment is a very big issue, because if you
Now, sorry, let me hold your
right.
thoughts there. Let's talk about the subsidy, because a lot of Nigerians out there, when they hear removal of subsidy, the only thing they know about is that there's going to be an increment in the prices of fuel, of fuel. Okay. The pump price will increase. Apart from that, are there other challenges that are embedded in this removal of subsidy that Nigerians should know? Because information is key.
Now, the major thing is that it's not even, the ripple effect is the major problem, right?
Those are the ripple effects.
The pump price will be increased, right? But when it is increased, what happens? Fuel price and what have you affect virtually every economic sector. Now, the transport will increase, and when the transport increase, it simply means everything we buy, every commodity is going to increase. And when it's increased, what is the purchasing power? It should be eroded. Now we are talking about inflation at 22.0 at 4%. So what do you think will happen at that time? When you have 1,000 naira, you cannot even move from your office to your place, from your house to your office. It's a big issue that we need to look at.
And it doesn't look as if salaries are going to be increased.
The fact just means that
anytime
I'm sure, and I must tell you, even the incoming president cannot remove that subsidy when it comes in, except some things are put in place.
Like what?
Now, first and foremost, we must make sure that our refineries are working. At least 2 of our refineries.
That's
at least 2. Because you must not give us international price in Nigeria. Because you must produce in Nigeria and sell in Nigeria. And we've been waiting for Dangote
refinery, yes.
It's a big issue. The issue of transportation itself, I must tell you, we must have a mass transport system across Nigeria, not only in the city, both urban and rural area. This will also reduce. You can also see that they have gone ahead to get the loan. I wouldn't know who is going to spend the loan of 800 billion grant from the World Bank, because is he going to also remain there until the incoming president comes, or they will start expending the money? It's a very big issue. So I'm sure they are the same party, so I would think they have to rub minds together and see how it goes. But no matter what it is, there must be a lot of cushioning of effect. And now,
the federal government was talking about palliative.
Now, that's the palliative. Now, if you're also giving out palliative to 10 million household, which is 550 million Nigerians, we also say as an economist, don't give us the consumption money. If you give people 5,000, what are they going to use?
You spend it
immediately to consume. And when you spend that to consume, it increases our inflation. Why not be a productive money? Now, you know that about this market, you may always go to Ariara market to purchase this item. Why not go there and pay for that item and tell them to collect, because it do not have a economic multiplier effect, and you are also creating economic activities that will bring much more employment. So it's a very big issue. And on the issue of unemployment, I don't know how they are going to solve it, because it is 47% now is going to increase to 40%. I don't know how this government is going to tackle it, because tackling it simply means you must create an economic activities that will make people to engage.
When you're talking about creating an economy that make people to get engaged, because looking at one of the major challenges also facing this current administration that may be passed to the incoming administration is your revenue generation.
Right.
We have not really generating enough, because
right.
For you to be able to increase your IGR,
yes.
You must be able to create job opportunities. People must be able to have startup initiatives and stuff like that. What are the plans that you think this government has to put, this incoming administration needs to put in place to be able to increase the IGR of this country? Because especially we're doing nothing about it.
First and foremost, the issue of foreign direct investment, it's very, very key. Now, when you now talk about foreign direct investment, another challenge is also underneath it, which is the issue of energy. Now, many international organizations prefer to go to countries around Nigeria, maybe Ghana, Niger, Chad, that have stability in their power supply, and they decide to go and produce them. And that's why I always have issue with AFCTA agreement, because if you say they should be dumping everything in Nigeria and you are not protecting the infant industry, people will go around the country, go and produce in some countries and bring it down to them. So you must have availability of energy, sufficient energy. And apart from that, you want to generate revenue. How empowered are your MSME?
Yeah.
Now, MSME, if you look at them properly, you discover that within 5 years they are out of business. Why are they out of business? A barber shop, who is a barber, who will have expended 2,000 naira to buy fuel, in against 500 naira or 1,000 naira would have paid for maybe electricity discos supply, does not have everything that has been eroded for production. So when you talk about industrialization, you need this energy. When you talk about MSM, you need energy. So it is a very big, and if you look at that, about 50% of Nigeria workers are also found in MSME, and they contribute a whole lot to GDP. So you must make sure that these people are energy sufficiency is there, and you must also create capital. A country that cannot create capital cannot have investment. The first is to create capital. Though successive government have been coming with different poverty reduction
reduction, poverty alleviation
NAPEP from Obasanjo. You see Shopi from Jonathan. Now you win.
Yeah.
Now we have Npower, we have GP.
Who growers, there's the one that they said recently. They said
government enterprise.
Yes, the government enterprises. What they said that families, about how many millions families benefits take 10,000 naira by monthly. So now, this is also another issue. How do we know these people? Because the truth of the matter is that I have heard it been said that they are yet to see these persons who are actually benefiting from all this that the government is talking about, especially the payment of monies into certain persons' accounts.
Right. The first issue is that there's what is called social register.
Okay.
It actually exists.
Okay.
But the fact is that we have been questioning federal government. Bring it out, let us see. They now said no. They don't want to bring it out because they want to keep the secrets of people that are benefiting from it, where we fault it. Because a core non-governmental organization.
Okay, when somebody receives help, can the person own it?
Well, that's what it is, because we've canvassed that bring the social register. Let us see who
I'm not sure I'm not on social register.
This social register that you're talking about, have you seen it? No, I don't seen it.
Those that are social register are not this level. What they are saying is even people that should be on social register should not even have a bank account. Because if you have a bank account in Nigeria, that means you are well to do to an extent.
Exactly.
They can monitor what is coming in. Yeah. And that's why some people even apply for this fund. They could not get, because they have checked what their earning income is beyond 15,000 naira.
And we also have some that.
So the fact just means that I think that Ministry of, they have taken NSIP to under humanitarian now. Now humanitarian also should engage non-governmental organizations, because I have a project working on it. The best way is to make sure they give it to independent people. Because, you know, anything that has to do with poverty reduction is always influenced by people that will select their people in their own environment.
Exactly, yes.
You take care of people in your area first.
Exactly. But that's quite poor. And that's how those in National Assembly to want to make sure that people that are going to ND, they have their own, you know, that's the major challenge. You could see that the last thing that they have to go to National Assembly and said each constituency should have. No, because these people may not identify. But if you give it a non-governmental organization, we have a way of identifying this person is poor. Let me give you an example of Rwanda. I was in Rwanda and I tried to monitor how their economic. No, what they do is that they have 4 strata. They have the poor, which they and have their contact. They have the they have very poor. They have the poor. You know, they have the middle class and they have the rich. Do you know what they do for the poor? Every poor will have a car. You know, virtually every year, and they have free education. That's very poor. And those that are poor will pay half. And those that are middle class will pay full. Those that are rich, they will bring it down. So they have this strata demarcation where they know who is who and what is what. But in your community, even your king, can they identify which one who is who?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they influence?
And that's workable in an effective system.
Very
people are straightforward. And unfortunately, we are not even sure about our population.
Who is even poor, who is rich?
And that's a place, and that's also a country whereby I believe there's functional data system.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you said, they know everybody. They know the very poor. They know the poor. Now in Nigeria, when they say there's something for the very poor, like the other time they said during the 2020 palliative, they said it's for the very poor. And in my own findings, in the course of my reportage, I discovered that some persons that received that money, they were not poor at all.
Even the people that would think
they were not poor in the FCT.
Well, in this country, I wouldn't believe that. There's some indices that once it is there, you know who is poor. That BVN is showing it now. If you go to people's account, you see people that you can trace 5 accounts to. You see people that are earning more than 200,000 naira in a month. It's quite there. That's the challenge. But who is tapping into that? That's why we said we want an independent body to carry out that. Because if you allow these politicians to do that, they want to take it to their people and use it to canvass for vote. If anything in Nigeria is aimed to canvass for vote or for benefit.
Exactly.
But in any climb, the major thing is to reduce poverty. And that's the issue we have with Empower. How will they move people?
Yeah, improve the
because in a sane country, even other MSME, you would have known that in 5 years, how many MSME have moved to full industry? How many MSME has moved? How many has come down? We don't have those statistics to make do, and that's a bigger issue for incoming administration. They must be able to have a strong data that will reflect who is okay, who is not okay, what next to do, who even need infrastructure. It's so appalling that we could even cancel our census.
Yes.
Census would have revealed a lot of things. You know, it would have shown that this community does not have health facility. This one's supposed to have health facility.
The census that we've done in the past, have they been able to achieve
2006.
That? Yeah, but most times it's been politicized. That's the major.
That's why they still move this one. I don't know.
It's politicized because in instances when you believe that the census is supposed to be able to give you some personal data that will really help the government to know where to put resources and stuff like that. Unfortunately, people are more concerned about increasing the number of population in their state than also looking at the benefit of the census in them. But they were away from that. That major issue that also before the incoming administration has to do with the salary increase. We know the labor already fighting and waiting for the new government to come in to tell them to table their demands. So I'm of the opinion that no matter the amount of level of increase we have in salary, it will still not be able to improve the lot of people because the cost of living is quite high. I'm of the opinion that we should be able to bring down the cost of living. Whatever salary anybody, an individual is earning, it should be able to afford the basic necessity of life. But when we don't bring down the cost of living, then the increase in salary will still be eroded. What's your take on this?
Well, the fact just means that, we have new NLC chairman, Joe Ajero. The incoming president should also prepare for a lot of strike. Because if you look at their own pattern, immediately they talked about the redesign of Naira. Immediately they said they are going to phase it. Everything come, they bring solution. When they talk about fuel subsidy, they bring solution. So now, salary increment, it's normal every 5 years to be reviewed. It's never a bad thing. But the fact is, what is the purchasing power? It's not about the money itself, it's the purchase. Because if you look at our inflation in Nigeria, it is food driven inflation. So the major thing we need to do is the availability of food sufficient in the country. Because if you look at it, majority of our money also goes into food. So if food can be available, it's a problem. But also, if you want to make food available, it's a problem too. We have insecurity. Have eroded all these farmers, what have you, all this anchor borrower that, this government actually achieved to an extent in food sufficiency. But this issue of insecurity have taken it away. Because we can see the migration of people from rural to urban center. Because you cannot longer go to, look at the middle belt especially. Look at the northeast. You cannot go, look at the northwest.
Even the northwest.
So it's becoming a serious problem. And we must be careful so that not to have famine issue. When we don't take care of this, it's going to be a bigger. So we must make sure that we encourage all this infant industry, all this subsistence farmers to go into mechanized farming. If you see most countries, about 9% of them are farming, but in Nigeria, about 50% of us are also into farming. But are we sufficient? We are not still sufficient. So, to issue of salary increment, there is no. But the fact is that the incoming president has promised that is going to increase salary, and they have increased 40%. What is living wage?
And okay, what is the difference between living wage and a salary?
Because living wage is even much more. For me, if you say living wage, maybe it's rhetoric. Let's wait for what will happen. Because it's
you are the economist.
No. The fact is that you see this incoming president is so smart enough that he doesn't want you to cage him for anything. That's just the issue. But when you say salary, if a average civil servant is getting 150,000 naira, it's not bad. But I have issue with salary because I want him to go back to Oronsaye recommendation. You know why? Somebody work in federal ministry, and federal ministry the parent body for agency and commissions. But somebody in federal ministry's salary, a graduate, is around 55,000. But somebody in a commission, you understand, is getting like 250,000. The dichotomy is a serious problem.
Exactly.
It's a serious problem. The parent ministry civil service are any 65,000. The commission agencies under it are any 250,000 naira. Who choose to work where?
How does it? Why is it like that?
So there's a big cheat on that. So they must come and implement the Oronsaye that said every civil servant should be at the same level of salary. And it's very easy now. You can balance it to an average and everybody have a good take home. Because if you notice now, everybody even wants to work in the commission.
Instead the people are leaving ministry for commission.
It's not only ministries, even banks. People are resigning from banks to come to commissions because they think the salary is there, it's better, and you have other ways and you still have your time. That's another thing. You can do other businesses. So the fact is that the incoming president must make sure he increase. The fact is that it's not about him even increase. Once federal government increase salary, we expect private sector to also increase their salary.
That is the big issue. So when federal government increase salary, what parameter can be used to ascertain if same goes for the private sector?
Well, before now, private sector pay better until Obasanjo came inside, came into governance, and make sure they balance it, and you can see them. They can afford a good car, they can afford a house, and some of them are even stay in the city. But the fact just remains that once you increase minimum wage from 30,000. Even 10,000, some states are not paying. Some states are still paying 18,000.
They say they cannot afford it.
How would that person survive? Can I buy a bag of rice? Half bag.
Even the 30,000 cannot buy a bag of rice.
He cannot buy a bag of rice.
Even the 30,000 cannot buy a bag.
Half is around that 20,000 naira. So how will he now transport him or herself to do? So the fact remains that to increase the minimum to like 50,000, it simply means private sector have to increase, which is very. You know why? It's not that. That's not even the automatic thing, is that everything will increase. The tomato seller will increase. Okada will increase. Exactly. So there will be a serious ripple effect that's going to affect the economy. So that's why we must look at it holistically. Nigerian economy holistically. Once you are increasing this, you know that you have issue. So we must come to balance everything. And that's why we have to go back to government policy itself, right from the CBN to the fiscal policy. You could see IMF is telling them, increase your tax net. Now, I will agree with IMF. Most people are not under tax net. Don't increase the tax. increase the tax net.
Yeah.
You can see also, if I tell you that most even companies are on what do you call free trade zone. They are trying to avoid tax. If I tell you that Chinese as a country have about 2 free trade zones in it, most of them, if you look at Dangote refinery, is on free trade zone. So who is now even paying
tax?
All the tax? So everybody is looking at that lacuna to take advantage and not pay. So we must also try as much as possible to increase our tax net, because government must generate more revenue.
Yeah.
Let's go to the debt issue now. Yeah. Look at government debt. By 2025 now, our revenue cannot even service the debt, to not even debt itself, to even service it. So we are shortfall of revenue. So they must think outside the box and make sure they increase our revenue, because without increment of revenue, we're in a serious problem.
Now the thing is that, is it that Nigeria not have to increase revenue, or it's just that some persons somewhere are not doing
Nigeria
their
does not
job?
have a enabling environment to increase revenue. Before you can get revenue, you must also put up some infrastructure. You must also put things that, for instance, you want to increase revenue and you don't have foreign direct investment. Nobody is investing in your country. So how do you get that money? You want to increase revenue, you don't have availability of effective power supply. You want to increase revenue, you have insecurity. There are some things that you must solve, small problem, before you can achieve those things. So for you, like this government have always claimed that yes, we have provided road infrastructure.
Yeah, capital, so much in capital
investment. Yes, very, 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 very good one. If another government can still improve in that, we will enjoy. But how does it translate to food that every man on the street needs to eat? So you must create economic activities that will engender development. And when we say economic activities, there must be availability of capital for people to work with. Now, you have increased the MPR, monetary policy ratio. To borrow money in bank, you have to pay about 30%. So how do you want a manufacturer to go and borrow? Now, the implication is this. If a manufacturer, ideally, when there's inflation at this level, it is even wrong for you to invest. It's better you keep your money in the bank and collect interest on it. So now, a manufacturer will not want to go to bank to borrow at an exorbitant rate. So if a manufacturer did not go to borrow, do you know the implication? Simply means it will not matter, it will not employ, people will not get employment. And the unemployment will now have to increase. These are the things that we need to look at properly. So
now the issue of power supply.
Right.
Over years, we know that Nigeria has expended so much on power supply. For me, as a layman in that field, all I keep hearing is 5,000 megawatts. We do not exceed that 5,000 megawatts for years. Now, and there are some persons who are also conversing for alternative power supply. Do you think that will help should Nigeria decide to go into diversification in terms of power supply?
I want to appreciate Ninth Assembly for a bill they just passed. Okay. The bill says that every state can now have their own power generation. Wow. If you can generate power, I noticed that Southwest have started beating now.
Yeah, get a good power.
Yes. So Southwest is saying now, all the Southwest governors come together, have your own power plant. Yeah. A big neighbor like Port Harcourt Delta can also say, let me have my power plant, and can shift it to Imo and other states beside them. Kaduna can also say, let me have my. So if they all have their power plant and generate even to 2,000 megawatts. Imagine 2,000 megawatts for 20 states. That's about 40,000 megawatts. Yeah. So that's what we expect now. And we also expect industries like Iduyad, like Ariara Market, like Kurmi Market. All these people can generate their own and use their own power plant within their own domain, so that small businesses can have availability to maybe all these Gencos and Discos and what have you. So these are the things. But it's quite appalling that a country of 60 million, South Africa, have 50,000 megawatts. They cannot even use 10,000.
They can't even,
But a country of 200 million can only say they have 5,000. And that 5,000, we cannot even use more than 3,500.
It keeps fluctuating. 5,000, it will come down to 2,000, come down, go up to 3.
Our leaders does not have our interest of Nigerians in mind. How can you tell me for a whole 8 years, you cannot improve this? For a whole 8 years, even the energy, what have you, the refinery, you cannot do any miracle to make it come on board. Does it cost an arm or a leg to do all this thing? It's practical. Make it your project. In fact, you even made yourself Ministry of Petroleum. We are still having issues. So we didn't want to have all those kind of things. Bring a professional and let it do it. A president must also learn to hire and fire to have a vibrant economy. If you cannot hire and fire, you are not fit to be a leader. Because I don't know how somebody will be in an office for 8 years, he does not do anything meaningful, and you are still pampering him, you are still having him there, and you are going to go together. A sensitive leader should be able to engage somebody who has the technical know-how to move something ahead, and when the person could not serve or produce again, fire that person and let's have a better Nigeria. Nigeria is not here to serve one person or to be looking at one person for 8 years without any improvement. We want a better life. Perhaps this incoming government will not enjoy the kind of largesse that President Buhari enjoyed. Because if you look at the voting pattern, it shows that you must do well. You do have that that confidence was not that it's not that big. It's not that there on you. So you must make sure within 4-6 months you provide something meaningful, not use 6 months to give us minister. Though the National Assembly has changed the rules now, that once you become a president or a governor, you must give us minister and commissioner within 60 days. Not like opportunity of 6 months. Nothing like that. Within 60 days. If you don't do it, it's a big issue. You can even be impeached for it. So I'm sure they have opportunity to have by now laid down their ministers, their technical and what have you that way, because there are some 5 key ministries that you must look into. Let's even look at the Ministry of Finance. Who head the Ministry of Finance? Remember during Jonathan, Okonjo-Iweala was not only a Minister of Finance, he's also the coordinator of the economy. So this gives her a lot of opportunity to better the lots of Nigerians, which is very key.
Yeah, so much that we've been talking with an economist right here in the studio talking about Aliyu, and we are looking at so many issues concerning the incoming administration and how they can really be able to improve the lot of Nigerians.